You know what it is, dude, is I was up at 4:00 last night just doing everything for this podcast launch, and I'm just like frazzled, and it's obvious that I'm frazzled. So
yeah, you look terrible. You should probably just go take a shower or something. Ugh.
I haven't taken
clean up, bro. What's your problem?
I haven't taken a shower in 2 days. My name's Mohnish, and I'm your main host. Welcome to Real Talk. Why are we doing this?
I'm just bored. That's all.
We're three dickless teenagers. We're 21. We're all 21, I believe. And we decided to sort of podcast. How old are you? Fuck, you're 20, aren't you?
I am.
I always forget that.
I'm a small child with a small penis.
It's always evident at the bar when you're like, "Hey, Mohnish, can you buy me a drink, please?"
Hey, can you just snag me one of those?
Kevin is asking girls to buy him drinks at the bar. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
that's my opener. That's my opener. How's it going? Want to buy me a drink?
Exactly. The way that I came up with this podcast essentially was I was a very angsty teenager. I wrote a piece on high school, and that piece on high school, I
read that piece, by the way.
Did you really?
Yeah, on my own. I was not told to read this piece. I want everybody to know that. Mohnish never told me to read it, but on my own research of his writings, I stumbled upon it.
Would you?
Very interesting.
Wasn't it the worst article you've ever read in your life?
Oh yeah, one of the worst things I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yeah, and
I showered after I read it. Actually,
it was so bad. It was. I wrote that piece in response essentially to my own experience in high school, but also I read a piece by Paul Graham, who's the founder of Y Combinator, and the piece was why nerds are unpopular.
Mm-hmm.
And when I read it, I was like, this piece is so good. And I couldn't find more of that writing, right? So I decided to write it myself. And that piece got a really, really good response. I got tons of emails. And I realized that there is a lack of sort of good, well-researched content for the 15-25 crowd. Usually it's some random fucking BuzzFeed article like, oh my god, what superhero are you? Oh my god, Jennifer, I'm fucking Ant-Man. That's so... that's usually the content that's aimed at that crowd. And I wanted there to be sort of in-depth content that sort of dealt with what people from 15-25 deal with. I wanted to make the podcast that 17-year-old me would have been proud of, I guess, and would have wanted to listen to, right? Dude, so what was it like when I asked you to come on board? Was it like, I don't remember that at all, essentially.
Yeah, you just sent me a text, I'm pretty sure, and you just said, do you want to be on a podcast? You had talked to me about the idea of a podcast before. We talked about it over text a couple of times, I think. Yeah. And then I think you just texted me like, hey, want to be in a podcast? And I was like, yeah, sure. And that was literally the only thought I had was yes. I mean,
yeah, that's awesome.
I didn't even really care what it was about, to be honest. All right.
Yeah, dude, I remember being very hesitant about co-hosts, about who I want on the show. Did I even want an Asian guy named Kevin Sanji on the podcast?
No, that's a very questionable decision you made there.
Yeah, and it took me a month and a half, 2 months to really be like, yeah, I wanted somebody else to. So Army Leg is also on this podcast. He's not here right now.
I don't know why you chose him at all, to be honest.
Yeah, he's gonna listen to this and fucking hate us even more than he does. Yeah, and I decided that it's more fun to have people on the podcast to talk with, right? Rather than just talking to, like, I always listen to those podcasts where they talk to themselves, and I'm like, I cannot. I mean, I can do that for 15 to 20 seconds, but past that, it just...
That's interesting, because I just pictured you talking to yourself all day. Like, your thoughts, you're just verbalizing them to yourself in your room at all times.
No, I'm talking to the wall, basically, when I'm not out. Yeah, this podcast, for me, we go through so many topics. We go through popularity, status, shit-talking, social media. We talk about everything from high school to college to even adulthood going after that. Relationships, friendships, social ties. We talk about careers. and we're going balls to the wall here. The cool thing about this podcast though is that we don't just talk out of our ass. I actually do an insane.
No. That's wrong. That's wrong. Okay, you and Army don't talk out of your ass, but I do. Okay, exclusively talk out of my ass.
20% of the time, we're just talking the most insane bullshit of all time, right? We're pulling words out of our ass like it's fucking Christmas. But for the most part, I actually do a lot of research from sociology, evolutionary psychology, just regular psychology, animal biology, just the most random field. I try to do a multidisciplinary approach where we take as many fields as possible, condense it down, and make it actually applicable, right? So if you're 15, 25, you're growing up and you're like, this shit is hard. This is your podcast, right? This is the podcast essentially about growing up, and it's the podcast that that loser Mohnish again would have got a kick out of. Mm-hmm. And also, this is a fanarchy, right? So if you're listening to this podcast, you decide where it goes, what we talk about. I mean, me and Kevin and Army, we have no idea what we're doing.
No. Especially me.
Especially Kevin.
I think you guys have like a vague grasp of some sort of concept, but I'm just bored.
Yeah, we have no idea what we're doing, and this podcast kind of can depend on you, right? So again, send us your thoughts, send us your questions. If you want a question answered on the podcast, you can go to www.real. I don't know why I always say that so fucking fast. www.realtalkstudio.
I just butchered that www.
Yeah,
that was disgusting.
I don't even know why I'm on a podcast, dude. This is www.realtalkstudio.com/ask. And yeah, listen to the goddamn podcast.
Listen to the goddamn podcast.
Ancora segno del tuo amore